The Asante, also known as Ashanti, are part of the more prominent Akan people, a significant ethnic group in modern-day Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. The Akan are believed to have originated in Egypt and migrated westward, a typical pattern among many African groups. Their ancestors, the Soninka, played a pivotal role in the founding of the Ouagadougou Empire, also known as the ancient Ghana Empire. This empire, one of Africa's most powerful and prosperous states at its zenith, was a testament to the Soninka's influence and prowess. Following the decline of the ancient Ghana Empire in the 12th century, some of its people migrated to what is now Ghana, integrating with local communities along their journey. This migration led to the formation of the Akan people. Alongside other groups in West Africa, such as the Malinke and possibly the Wolof, the Akan are thought to have Soninka roots. Asante translates to because of war in the Twi language. It derives from two Twi words, Osa, meaning war, and Inti, meaning because of. This name reflects the origins of the Asante kingdom, which was established to resist and combat the Denchera kingdom. The variant name Ashanti emerged from British reports, where the pronunciation of Asante was transcribed as Ashanti, reflecting how the British heard and interpreted the word. The Ashanti Confederation, which originated in Asante Manso, was officially established in 1701 under the leadership of King Osei Tutu I. Osei Tutu, the founder of the Ashanti dynasty, introduced a distinctive matrilineal succession system that reflected the strategic acumen of the Asante people. This system was designed to ensure that a mature and capable leader would inherit the throne, especially crucial in times of war. The system aimed to avoid the potential instability of a long regency under a young and inexperienced king by passing the throne to the king's brothers or nephews, rather than his direct descendants. The legend of Osei Tutu's birth is a tale that captivates the imagination. His mother, Manu, was unable to conceive until she sought the aid of a powerful fetish known as O-Tutu. After receiving the fetish's blessing, she gave birth to Osei Tutu. As a youth, he was sent to the court of the king of Denchera, a rival state to the Ashanti, as a hostage and sword-bearer. It was during this time that he had a clandestine affair with the king's sister. This daring act led to his escape and subsequent refuge in Akwamu, where he gained popularity. Upon the death of his uncle, King Obiri Yabua, the Ashanti nobles summoned Osei Tutu to return and lead them. Traveling north from Akwamu to Kumasi with an armed party and ample ammunition, he was greeted with great joy and was proclaimed King of the Ashanti. Osei Tutu's reign marked the beginning of a new era for the Ashanti, highlighted by the Ashanti-Denchera War between 1699 and 1701. During the Ashanti-Denchera War, Osei Tutu, with the strategic guidance of Komfo Anorchi, a renowned priest he met at the Denchera court, led the Ashanti to a resounding victory over the Denchera, who had once dominated them. Komfo Anorchi's profound spiritual and political wisdom made him an invaluable advisor to Osei Tutu. One of his first symbolic acts was planting a kuma tree, prophesying that as the tree thrived, so would Osei Tutu's power. This act was so significant that the capital city was named Kumasi, meaning under the kuma tree. Komfo Anorchi is also credited with creating the golden stool, an enduring symbol of unity and sovereignty for the Ashanti people. According to legend, Komfo Anorchi conjured the stool from the heavens, causing it to descend gently onto the lap of Osei Tutu during a grand assembly of Ashanti chiefs. This dramatic event signified the divine endorsement of Osei Tutu's rule and the sanctity of the stool itself. The golden stool, or Sika Jua Kofi, is not merely a physical object, but a powerful spiritual symbol that embodies the soul, strength, and unity of the Ashanti people. It stands as a testament to their rich cultural heritage. The golden stool symbolized the sovereignty of the Asante and was believed to encapsulate the very essence of the Asante people. During coronation ceremonies, each new king was ceremoniously lowered and raised over the stool 3 times without touching it, signifying their divine right to rule. This ritual underscored the stool's importance as a symbol of the king's legitimacy and the unity of the Ashanti kingdom. Osei Tutu enlisted the Akwamu soldiers who had accompanied him back to Kumasi, recognizing their expertise in modern firearms and successful tactics from their own conquests. The Akwamu, like the Denchera, had long adapted to using firearms in warfare, which contributed to their military successes. The Ashanti army was trained in the Akwamu strategic doctrine, which emphasized the encirclement of the enemy. The Ashanti Empire's army was meticulously organized into 6 divisions, each with various subdivisions based on traditional Akan military systems, such as the Akwamu army. The divisions included scouts, Akuansrafo, an advance guard, Twafo, the main body, Adonten, a personal bodyguard, Jasi, a rear guard, Chidam, and 2 wings, left Benkum and right Nifa. Each wing was further divided into right half and left half. This structured organization allowed Ashanti generals to maneuver their forces with flexibility. Scouts, often professional hunters, were responsible for reconnaissance and pursuit operations, using their marksmanship to snipe at enemy forces and employing tactics to draw out enemy positions. The advance guard could serve as stormtroops or bait, while the Jasi protected the king and high-ranking nobles. The rear guard functioned for pursuit or as a reserve, and the wings facilitated encirclement tactics or rear strikes. Ashanti soldiers were also kept in line by sword-bearers who whipped those attempting to flee. They were taught to memorize the saying, if I go forward, I die. If I flee, I die. Better to go forward and die in the mouth of battle. This rigorous organization and discipline made the Ashanti army a formidable force in battle. The Ashantis have a famous saying, Wokum apem a apem behba, which means, if you kill 1,000, 1,000 more will appear. This exemplifies the warrior spirit of the Ashanti army. By the early 19th century, Britain had established trading posts on the Gold Coast, initially believing they were on Fante land and paying rent to the Fante tribe. However, the Asante considered the Fante their subjects and demanded that the rent be paid to them instead, sparking the First Anglo-Ashanti War in 1823. General Sir Charles McCarthy led a British and Fante force into Asante territory. McCarthy's forces camped by a tributary of the Pra River, awaiting reinforcements from other groups. At dawn, they were confronted by an imposing Ashanti force of around 10,000 warriors. To exaggerate the size of his force, McCarthy played God Save the King. This was met with the ominous sound of Ashanti war drums, signaling the inevitability of battle. The Ashanti tried to cross the Pra River by felling trees and building makeshift bridges. The British responded with gunfire, but soon ran low on supplies and ammunition after successive waves of Ashanti attacks. Launching a fierce assault that the British could not withstand, the Asante overwhelmed the British lines. McCarthy was killed during the confrontation. Sporadic fighting continued until 1831, ending with a treaty establishing the Pra River as the boundary between British and Ashanti territories. A similar dispute in 1863 to 1864 led to a second war. This time, the British force, hampered by the rainy season, withdrew after a series of inconclusive skirmishes. The conflict ended in a stalemate, but tensions remained high. The most significant conflict between the Ashanti and the British occurred from 1873 to 1874, triggered by the sale of Dutch trading posts on the Gold Coast to Britain in 1871. Unlike the British, the Dutch had always considered themselves guests of Kumasi and paid ground rent directly to the Asante. The British takeover of Dutch trading posts meant the Ashanti lost access to the sea and the ability to import guns and gunpowder. As Ashanti king Kofi Kakari mobilized his army, the British, under the leadership of General Garnet Joseph Wolseley, prepared for a decisive confrontation. An expeditionary force was assembled, demonstrating their determination to end Ashanti's resistance. Wolseley's troops, including the Black Watch Regiment, a battalion from the Rifle Brigade, and West Indies regiments, marched through the dense rainforest, building roads and bridges as they advanced, showcasing their strategic planning. On January 31st, 1874, Wolseley's forces clashed with a large Ashanti army at Moafo. The battle was fierce, with British troops advancing in a parallelogram formation, utilizing rocket tubes and artillery. Despite suffering heavy casualties, the Ashanti temporarily disrupted British supply lines. Eventually, the British prevailed and entered Kumasi on February 4, 1874, looting and burning the capital before retreating. The Treaty of Fomena was subsequently signed, allowing free trade and imposing a heavy indemnity on the Ashanti. Wolseley's victory, though seeming inconclusive, marked the beginning of the end for the Ashanti Empire. The kingdom's tributary states disappeared, and internal divisions weakened its ruling class. By the early 1890s, Ashanti had become a virtual ward of Britain, a stark change from its once powerful and independent status, evoking a sense of loss and change. In 1895, the British moved to occupy Ashanti territory. King Prempeh I, who had ordered his people not to resist, was deposed and exiled to the Seychelles in 1896. This set the stage for the final conflict known as the War of the Golden Stool. The war began when British Governor Sir Frederick Hodgson demanded to sit on the sacred Golden Stool, not realizing it was a revered symbol of Ashanti unity rather than just a throne. This grave insult sparked outrage among the Ashanti people and led to the final conflict between the Ashanti and the British Empire. The governor's demands, including a war indemnity, insulted the Ashanti and led to a secret meeting among their chiefs, where they resolved to resist British rule. Ya Asantewa, the brave Queen Mother, rallied the initially hesitant chiefs with her powerful words. If you, the men of Asante, will not go forward, then we, the women, will. I shall call upon my fellow women. We will fight. We will fight till the last of us falls in the battlefields. This bold declaration shamed the men into action, and the chiefs resolved to wage another war against their British occupiers. In 1900, the Ashanti people, led by their Queen Mother, Ya Asantewa, rallied to resist British control and retrieve their exiled king. A large Ashanti volunteer force ambushed Captain Cecil Armitage as he searched for the Golden Stool, forcing his men to retreat to a stockade in Kumasi. The British fortified their position, but the Ashanti settled into a prolonged siege, cutting off supplies and communication. With British resources dwindling, a rescue party arrived, enabling Governor Hodgson and his wife and over 100 Hausa militia to escape. The Ashanti summoned 12,000 warriors to attack the escapees, but the British managed to evade the main force and reach safety. The British sent an additional relief force from Accra, which faced fierce resistance and heavy casualties. The British troops finally broke through Ashanti defenses and relieved the besieged fort at Kumasi. The British garrison at Kumasi managed to fend off further Ashanti attacks with effective use of artillery. After a prolonged counterattack, the British forces quelled the uprising. The Ashanti resistance, though valiant, ultimately succumbed to superior British military power. Ya Asantewa lived in captivity for 20 years before passing away at nearly 80 years old. 3 years after her death, King Prempeh was allowed to return to Asante and ensured that Ya Asantewa's remains were repatriated. The Golden Stool, Sikadwa Kofi, has remained with the Asante people to this day. The royal mother of Ejisu, Ya Asantewa, is celebrated throughout Ghana as a true symbol of resistance to colonial invasion. The last Anglo-Ashanti War is named the War of Ya Asantewa in her honor. The aftermath of the war left the capital, Kumasi, in ruins, including the destruction of the mausoleum of the Asante kings. The king of the Asante is still one of the most prestigious in Africa, even if he has lost many of his political powers. The 19th century Asante gold mask is a remarkable artifact representing the high level of craftsmanship and rich cultural heritage of the Asante people of Ghana. An intricately crafted gold spider from the Asante Empire, this piece reflects the skilled metalwork and symbolic artistry of the Asante people. It is housed in the Dallas Museum of Art, illustrating the cultural significance and creativity of this West African empire. A finely crafted chest from the Asante Empire, this artifact showcases the elaborate design and exceptional craftsmanship characteristic of Asante artisans. Displayed at the Victoria and Albert Museum, it offers a glimpse into the artistic heritage and daily life of the Ashanti people. These gold scales from the 19th century feature adinkra figurines, which are symbolic representations conveying various philosophical concepts. The golden seat and stool are significant symbols of the authority and power of the Asantehene, the ruler of the Asante Empire. The design of the stool, which is also found in the kingdom of Dahomey, modern-day Benin, bears a striking resemblance to one of the thrones of the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun. This connection underscores the cultural exchanges and similarities between different African civilizations. The prosperity of the Asante Empire was built on the exploitation of its abundant gold mines, which were so rich that their wealth seemed limitless. Large gold nuggets were reserved for the royal treasury, while gold dust was distributed among the people. This practice is similar to the ancient kingdom of Ghana. This extraordinary wealth is the reason why present-day Ghana was called the Gold Coast by Europeans before its independence. In the 19th century, British explorer Thomas Edward Bowditch described the grandeur of Asante court life in vivid detail. He wrote, 100 large parasols or canopies, each of which could shelter at least 30 people, were constantly waved by those who carried them. They were of yellow scarlet silk and other brilliant colors, and surmounted by crescents, pelicans, elephants, swords, and other weapons, all of solid gold. Bowditch's account also noted that the king's messengers wore large gold plates on their chests, and the captains and lords adorned themselves with carefully crafted solid gold necklaces. Young girls carried basins of gold, and performers held bundles of canes topped with gold. This description mirrors the splendor recorded by the Arab geographer al-Bakri in ancient Ghana, 8 centuries earlier, and by the famous traveler Ibn Battuta in the Mali Empire 5 centuries earlier. Gold was not just a symbol of wealth, but also a means of political power and social status. In ancient Ghana, similar practices of gold distribution were observed, which showcased the wealth and organization of the kingdom. The king controlled large gold nuggets while distributing gold dust among the people, reinforcing social hierarchies and economic stability. This tradition of gold wealth was a defining feature of the region long before European colonization. Ibn Battuta's accounts of the Mali Empire also highlight the prominence of gold. He described the wealth of the Malian rulers and the use of gold in daily life, from currency to adornment. The similarities between these descriptions across centuries illustrate a long-standing tradition of gold as a central element in West African civilizations. Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter.